Most travelers come to Switzerland for the Alps, but beyond the famous viewpoints, there are valleys hidden between glaciers, quiet villages where trains arrive only a few times a day, lakes that reflect entire mountain ranges, and landscapes that feel almost too perfect to be real. And most visitors never go that far. Switzerland isn't just scenic, it's layered. What people think Switzerland is. When people picture Switzerland, they imagine snowy mountains, alpine trains, and postcard-perfect towns. And that version exists. The Matterhorn rises impossibly sharp against the sky. Trains curve through valleys with precision timing. Luxury boutiques line Zurich's streets. Lake Geneva stretches wide and calm under clear skies. But Switzerland is more than a few famous peaks. It's a country built between mountains, valleys, and lakes. A place where geography shaped culture, where isolation created independence, where communities adapted to steep terrain and long winters. Once you move beyond the main viewpoints, the landscape becomes quieter. The tour buses disappear, the crowds thin, the trails stretch longer between villages, and the rhythm changes. Slower, more deliberate, more connected to the land itself. The Alps, the anchor. The Alps define Switzerland. Snow-capped peaks stretch across much of the country. From the Bernese Oberland to the Valais region, mountains dominate the horizon. Glaciers feed rivers that flow through valleys below. Some are ancient, moving just meters each year. Others are retreating, changing the landscape generation by generation. Villages sit where land allows, often surrounded by steep slopes. Built into mountainsides, clinging to valley floors, connected by narrow roads that switch back through elevation. The scale feels dramatic. Peaks rise thousands of meters, valleys drop sharply, forests climb as high as the tree line allows, then give way to rock and ice. But it's also balanced. There's a harmony here, between wilderness and habitation, between preservation and access, between tourism and daily life. Mountains shape everything here. From architecture to daily life, roofs slope steeply to shed snow. Valleys determine where roads can go. Seasons dictate rhythms. Long winters indoors, brief summers outdoors. The Alps aren't just scenery. They're the structure Switzerland was built around. Lauterbrunnen Valley. In Lauterbrunnen Valley, waterfalls drop from cliffs hundreds of meters high. More than 70 waterfalls fall into the valley during spring and summer. Some are thin ribbons, others thunder down with force. The sound echoes off rock walls. Staubbach Falls drops nearly 300 meters in a single plunge. Trümmelbach Falls carves through the mountain itself, 10 glacier-fed cascades hidden inside the rock. Small villages sit quietly below towering rock walls. Wooden chalets cluster together. Farmland spreads across the valley floor. Cows graze in meadows framed by vertical cliffs. It's one of Switzerland's most photographed places. Tourists arrive by train throughout the day. Cable cars lift visitors toward higher peaks. Jungfraujoch, the top of Europe, draws crowds year-round. But early in the morning, before the first trains arrive, the valley feels different. It feels completely different. Quiet. Still. Just mist rising, water falling, mountains holding their position. Zermatt and the Matterhorn. Further south, Zermatt sits at the base of the Matterhorn. The village is car-free, has been since the 1960s, a decision made to preserve the alpine atmosphere and air quality. Electric vehicles replace traffic. Small shuttles move quietly through streets. Horse-drawn carriages carry luggage. Bicycles lean against wooden fences. Traditional wooden chalets line narrow streets. Some are centuries old, built with timber that's darkened over time. Others are newer but follow the same architectural language. The Matterhorn rises sharply above everything. 4,478 meters, one of the most distinctive peaks in the world. Pyramidal, isolated, almost symmetrical from certain angles. It's one of the most recognizable mountains in the world. Climbers attempt it throughout summer. Hikers photograph it from dozens of viewpoints. Restaurants name dishes after it. And yet the village below remains surprisingly calm. Even during peak season, Zermatt feels measured, controlled. There's infrastructure, yes, but it's woven into the landscape rather than imposed on it. Most visitors leave Switzerland thinking they've seen it. The famous peaks, the scenic trains, the chocolate shops and watch boutiques. But the deeper you explore, the more it changes. Layers reveal themselves. Valleys open up. Villages appear where you didn't expect them. If you're drawn to destinations beyond the obvious, this channel is built for that. For travelers who want to understand places, not just photograph them. Hidden alpine valleys. Beyond the main tourist routes, smaller valleys open quietly. Places like Engelberg Valley, Waldherrens, Urseren Valley. Names most travelers never hear. Landscapes most guidebooks barely mention. Farms sit surrounded by alpine meadows. Stone barns store hay for winter. Wooden fences divide pastures into sections. Cowbells echo through open fields. Not for tourists, but because cattle still graze here. Move between elevations as seasons change. Villages feel tucked into the landscape. Houses cluster together for warmth. Churches anchor the center. Everything else spreads outward from there. Roads narrow. Trails outnumber streets. Silence becomes the default. This is everyday Switzerland, not dramatic viewpoints or engineered experiences. Just mountain life, farming, forestry, small-scale tourism. Lakeside Switzerland. Switzerland's lakes soften the mountains. Water reflects entire ridgelines. Peaks appear twice, once above, once below. On calm mornings, it's hard to tell where the reflection ends. Towns sit comfortably along the shoreline, not sprawling, not overdeveloped, just settled into the space available. In places like Lake Lucerne or Lake Brienz, mornings arrive slowly. Mist rises off the water, lifting gradually as temperatures shift, revealing villages piece by piece. Becomes gentler, less dramatic, more contemplative. Lakes in Switzerland aren't just geographic features, they're meeting points, where mountains ease into valleys, where tourism blends with local life, where visitors slow down without realizing why. Food and alpine tradition. Swiss food reflects the alpine environment. Cheese is central, especially in mountain regions. Gruyere, Emmental, Appenzeller. Each valley has its own variation. Cheese wheels age in cool cellars, some for months, some for years. The flavor deepens with time. Fondue and raclette appear often in colder months. Communal meals, designed for warmth and sustenance. Fondue, melted cheese with wine and garlic, eaten with bread. Raclette, cheese melted and scraped onto potatoes and pickles. Simple, efficient, built for long winters at altitude. Meals here feel hearty. Simple, made for long winters and physical work. There's no pretension, just ingredients that make sense for the climate. Why travelers are exploring slower. Switzerland has long been famous for its scenery. Tourists have visited since the 18th century, when the Grand Tour became fashionable, when alpine peaks represented the sublime. But more travelers are choosing slower journeys now, not rushing between landmarks, not checking boxes, but moving through landscapes at a pace that allows absorption. Panoramic trains cross mountain passes, Glacier Express, Bernese Express, Golden Pass Line. Large windows, slow speeds. Routes designed for observation. Hiking trails connect villages. Some take hours, others take days. The Swiss trail stretches over 1,000 kilometers from east to west. Because Switzerland rewards attention, the longer you look, the more you notice. Light on peaks, weather moving through valleys, how villages position themselves relative to slopes. Tourism here is shifting from spectacle to immersion, from attraction to atmosphere. Who this side of Switzerland is for? This side of Switzerland is for travelers who appreciate atmosphere. For those who enjoy mountain silence, who notice how sound carries differently at altitude, how temperature drops with elevation, how valleys create their own microclimates. For people who prefer landscapes over crowds, who'd rather hike than queue, who value discovering places that don't appear in every travel guide. If you're looking for dramatic scenery, it's here. Switzerland delivers on that promise. Peaks, glaciers, waterfalls, lakes. All of it real, all of it accessible. But so is calm. Quiet villages, empty trails, mornings without noise. evenings where the only sound is a distant cowbell. This is Switzerland for travelers who want both drama and peace, accessibility and solitude, famous landmarks and hidden valleys. It's not about avoiding tourism, it's about understanding where to find balance. Switzerland isn't just famous peaks. It's hidden valleys, quiet lakes, mountain villages, and landscapes shaped slowly by time. It's glaciers that move meters per year, villages that have stood for centuries, traditions that adapted to isolation and altitude. And once you move beyond the obvious stops, you realize how much more there is. Layers beneath the postcard image, depth beneath the scenery, stories woven into stone, and wood and water. Subscribe for more journeys beyond the tourist version. What part of Switzerland would you explore first?